This is the game plan for Friday, the 26th of September. On the daily chart, looking at indices, it's actually looking surprisingly bullish today, despite the fact that we sold off quite a bit yesterday, filling in, overlapping a daily BISI and then just taking out the previous day low below that, but only reaching into the upper quadrant of a daily wick at a discount. We then got quite a decent reaction off of it and closed back above the previous day low. So quite a bullish looking closure. And then today we've failed to reach the midpoint of yesterday's wick and have began pushing higher in a manner that kind of looks bullish. It is Friday, so we could just be enticing high into the weekend before continuing lower tomorrow. It's worth noting that midnight on yesterday, midnight we never reached, and we're now reaching up towards that level. So currently I am pretty bullish. I want to see if we can hit that previous day high. It's up at around 24,800, so that would be ideal. But yeah, essentially what we've seen is a sell-off all the way down to, in fact, the 420s, 422.5, after having poked just a few points above 25k. 4 hour, the only thing that stands out is the fact that 10 a.m. yesterday created a really long wick to the highs, and we've just run that out now after having pushed up towards it into the close yesterday, went sideways overnight, and then pushed up above that just this morning at the red folded news. YM and RTY both making relative equal lows with a long wick previous day low, but now pushing straight back up into the range quite aggressively. Looking like we want the Wednesday buy side as well, so Thursday's high essentially. But yeah, on the 1 hour chart, what really stands out to me is on NASDAQ how we've got a lovely impulse high from 4 a.m. on Thursday. That's up at around 24,760, and that is also just below that midnight price as well. Another thing that stands out is the fact that we have new day opening gaps, which are NDOG VIPs. We have, of course, the previous day high that was rated recently, and that's we're essentially sitting at that new day opening gap right now, so looking for potential support on that coming quite shortly. And then above that we've got the new day opening gap from the previous day low we rated, and that's the Tuesday's new day opening gap. So what I want to see is, once we have accumulated below those levels, I want to see those act as support, or with the Tuesday one, because that's above us, that's a potential draw on liquidity, so potentially could be targeting that level. We have reverse SMT as well, that's worth noting. So yesterday we made a low at 9 a.m, 10 a.m. rallied, and then we made a higher low at 1400, whereas ES made a lower low. We then had the opposite happen overnight, where midnight and 1 a.m. created an impulse low. We rated that out at 5 a.m. on NASDAQ, however ES failed to rate it out, and then that gave us the beautiful push and displacement to 8:30 a.m. up into the highs. Now, because I am still bullish, I kind of want to see if we can continue pushing high from here. We have a beautiful impulse low at 8:33 a.m. We're just hitting that right now. What I want to see is a 1 minute impulse rejection, and then I'll look to jump in on the longs. It's 9 a.m. and we've just tapped it now, so we're watching ES quite closely, wanting to see if it wants to take out that level as well. Looking for any signs of a reversal back up, and I'd be very willing to take that. I just closed with a nice long wick, not a last second wick as well on the 1 hour, which is also supportive of my idea. So yeah, I'm going to focus on catching that long. It's 9 a.m. and yeah, anything from now up to the open, just looking for that long. Once we do get back above that new day opening gap, after having accumulated below it, I'll look to use that as support to continue higher as well. So just then you heard my morning game plan that I did at around 9 a.m. and I just did a bit of demonstration pointing at what I was looking at. As you can see, this was the end result for the day, a personal daily loss limit. And I'm going to show my executions real quick as well. They are not the prettiest, I'll just warn you that, but do preferences, executions. So you can see all my executions here. That was the low that I was talking about that I wanted to get long above or below. I wanted to see us drop down to it, take it out, and then close back above it. And then as we close back above, what I wanted to see was an impulse rejection failure, which is where we take out an impulse high, we then drop back below it, and then close back above. So that was technically an entry. I got in around this area. First I got long there, then I started second guessing myself because of all this. I then got back in after I saw this nice push up, and then quickly closed there right at the open. And the reason why is because between 8:20 and 8:30 we didn't take out any swing lows, so that becomes a very high probability draw for the 8:30 open. So I mitigated really nicely there, did a good job of that, and yeah, closed it out for just a small scratch. That was nicely done. But because I was initially bullish, within straight away, all of a sudden I was thinking, okay, well maybe it's bearish. And then you can see as I go through my game plan in the next video, the next clip I'm about to show of my live trading, I was actually also looking at these regular trading hour lows from back here. So I thought, okay, that's actually a likely draw at the open. We drop down towards it, we fall just short of it, we start pulling back up, and you'll hear in the recording I say, okay, I like that, I got short. The idea was that my stop would be up around here somewhere. I ended up getting stopped out at 68.75, so all the way up here. I moved my stop another 16 points higher than it should have been. That wasn't the best. And then up in this area, I had then flipped back to my original bullish bias. I took a small long here, took some partials, then got stopped at break even on this drop. When we dropped down so aggressively, I recognized that we didn't have any displacements, like there's no fair value gap in this area, with that wick coming straight back up. But then when we closed back below this swing low, that was a valid short entry because we had just rejected this impulse high. So I saw impulse rejection, and then I wanted an impulse rejection failure down here. Same sort of model as over here. Got short, just got stopped out. That's perfectly fine. And then after getting stopped out, so just trying to figure out exactly what's happening here. So got short with 3, bought 7. So maybe it just flips long, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to low time frame. But you can see essentially what happened is I then got long instead, which took me out again. I'd have to look at the low time frame. I clearly can't even remember. What ends up happening is we plant a nice bull flag. I was then bearish at this point. I saw the nice long wick. I saw my RTH trailed stops model. So I was going short, and then I got stopped out, as you can see here, with 7 contracts stopped out above this high. And yeah, you'll see in the recording. I think I actually stopped the recording somewhere in here as well. I'm not sure exactly when. But we have this nice bull flag breakout, and then a beautiful sell-off down into my level, hitting the 5-minute order block as well. And I'll quickly look at the 15-second charts just so that I can identify what I did a bit better. You can see getting long, adding, taking a partial, taking something more off, stop to break even, getting short as we're breaking down through these lows, adding to the short, adding more to the short, getting stopped out. So this was perfectly fine, this trade here. Nothing wrong with it. The only problem is that the fact we have no inefficiency on the 1-minute chart indicated that it wasn't likely so bearish after all. Then gets this run up. I get stopped out on that candle, so I didn't actually go long there. I just got stopped out. So it's a long and then a short. Stopped out. We then break back down. I get bearish again. I'm like, okay, this is looking good. Got short, added, took a partial at the 50s. So right down here, took a partial. It then starts pulling back up. I figured that it should remain heavy, so I trail my stop and then added back on at a slightly better price. It comes straight back up and stops me out above this high. And that was the last trade I took. And the trades I took overnight, so I took quite a nice, from memory, quite a decent short, just based on a failure swing, impulse low. So the swing low, failure swing, impulse low. That failed to take out the high. We have a big rally overnight, also a big rally here. We pull back, make a low. Anyone wanting to buy the dip, they all go long and put their stops below this low. The exact same thing happens here. Big rally. Anyone trying to buy the dip, they put their stops below that low and below that low. So I was using this mitigation block as a entry, got in initially there, tried adding on a 15-second impulse rejection failure below this low, and then got stopped out on the add straight away, tried adding again, and then eventually we got a breakdown and I got back in and closed 3 here at 45.75. Had about 11 on, I believe. And then the rest I closed as we drop down into this low. So yeah, that's the only other trade. At the moment, this is just a paper account. This is the trade idea that I was talking about in the morning, where we have that sell side, a untapped order block below it, and I'm bullish on the day. So I just put in a long there. Initially had my stop sitting just in this lower gap, so down there, so it fell just short of that. And then as soon as we got into this area, I was watching the lows, and you can see that we've got SMT on the 5-minute lows, which you can see on the 1 minute here. Nasdaq making a high low, ES making a low low, and so as soon as I saw that, which price was right there, I trailed my stop up to here, reduced risk considerably. Now it's just sitting in this range. With how I performed today on this account, I really don't care what happens with this. It's just a FAFO type trade. I've got some bigger issues I need to fix, clearly, and it just felt chaotic. The reason it felt chaotic was, as you heard in my recording just before that I showed you, I was initially very bullish, and I was trying to go long right here. So just before the open, I was bullish. Last second at right 9.24, that's when I manually closed this one out, realizing that, okay, it's actually bearish down to these lows at least. And then when it sold off and fell just short of it, I was like, okay, I'm still bearish. I want to see this low hit. It takes me out. I get bullish. So I've already had 1 bias flip, 2 bias flips, 3 bias flips. And I did stick to... So I took another long here. So I took a long, and then I flipped straight back short biased. And then for these 2 trades, I remained short biased. But it just kept on running out the highs, and it just wasn't giving me quite the thing I was looking for. And by here, I was already max daily loss on this account, so I couldn't even take advantage of it. And that's something I need to fix, because it's, I am pretty good at knowing what direction it's going to go, but then I will just not trade it right and get messed up. Like knowing that, okay, it's probably going to head down to these lows again. We have the long wick that for my RTH trail stops framework, I think it's a short, but then trying multiple attempts in this area when it's actually just consolidating ahead of news before enticing longs, putting in some nice SMT on the highs and selling off. So yeah, anyway, enough of me talking. I'd really appreciate any kind of advice. I'll listen to anything that you can give me on my trading, as long as you watch the next clip to the right. So I'm about to play a clip, and yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, it is Friday the 26th of September. Just realized that this is not actually a trade I want to take anymore, and that's because we have 8:20 down here. Between 8:20 and 8:30 a.m. We did not take out any lows, meaning that this is a 8:30 no soup type scenario. So I'm actually expecting 8:30 to be on the draw on price right at the open. So 9:30 should drop down to this level at least. However, I am bullish on the day, and there's a few reasons for that. Really quick, I'll look at the daily chart. So long wick plus a gap, that's usually a very bullish signature. However, when we overlap it, that's no longer looking as strong. Ideally, you'd want to see this left unfilled. However, if you look at how yesterday played out, we sold off, took out this previous day low, but then failed to reach the midpoint of this wick. and then closed with quite a strong rejection back above the previous day low. That's indicative of bullish prices because we failed to reach the midpoint of this and a fairly strong closure. And then today we've already dropped down, made a wick, also failing to reach that midpoint and pushing higher. If we drop to the 1 hour chart, if it wants to load. So on the 1 hour, if we look at yesterday's price action, we actually have midnight right there. So that's midnight. We never reached up to midnight during the RTH session, meaning that we had a discount to that price. That's a likely draw. Also on top of that, we have this hourly high, impulse high, really stands out to me as an obvious liquidity pool that we're very likely to draw to. And as you can see, we fell short of that today. You can also see the previous day low, we had this SMT with NASDAQ making a high low, ES making a lower low, and then this is the key point. Overnight, midnight and 1 a.m. created this impulse low, got taken out at 5 a.m. whereas ES did the opposite, made a higher low. So this is the reverse SMT, which results in expansion. We're going into an area of distribution essentially. When you see the signature of ERL SMT and then lower time frame SMT, that's the opposite. That results in this nice expansion, which we've just seen. But yeah, I want to see us head up to this midnight level and up there as well. You see this purple box I've got on my chart as well. This purple box is from this previous day. If I turn on the previous day session breaks, this previous day high is right there. That was rated with the next day. So that previous day high, I'm referring to that new day opening gap. If I'm bearish, I want to see accumulation above and then sell below it, kind of like you get there. If I'm bullish, I want to see us accumulate below that level. Once we get back above, I want to see support. Heading up to that 1 hour impulse high, which we've got marked out. As well as midnight, that's the RTH gap from the previous day where we still left a whole bunch unfilled. So that's why that's on the chart. But today's RTH close is actually a little bit different. I'll bring that up. You can see we're already dropping down towards that midnight, that's 8:30 level. I wish I'd seen that before I took a trade. But I didn't really consider that. I just considered that I wanted to see an impulse rejection from this low. We just got back above it. We then had an impulse rejection failure at this high. So well, not really. It wasn't super clean. And yeah, but then I saw that between 8:20 and 8:30, we hadn't taken any lows, meaning that we're likely to sell off. There's an RTH close right down there. I've got midnight down there as well as an order block. This order block's interesting to me because if you look at the 5-minute chart, so narrative going into the close, buy side above here, so I'm going to mark that out for sure. We've got, this is the previous day high essentially, RTH, PDH, and I'll put that like that. So that's very important. We've got sell side sitting just down here. As you can see, it's just a bit below where we are now, as well as the midnight relative lows. This is, we showed support on the 800s, sorry, the 600s going into the close. So this actually becomes a really likely draw on liquidity, which is down at the midnight price as well. So PM sell side. So I think this is a likely drawn price. We're having a gap up. So a gap up, I'd like to see if we can knock in the buyers above this high, or at least as long as we're above this high, that's great. They don't want to see a sell off down to these lows. Looking to use my RTH trailed stops model. So bring that back to ETH. Kind of formulated this plan kind of last second. Before I was bullish, looking for a long from here, but that has since changed. And we're showing, willingness to take out that low currently. So we're watching to see what we do at the open. But the main thing for me is that we hit mid 8:30, which we've just done. I want to see if we can jump above this high at the open. That'd be ideal. If not, then hold up. So selling off right at the open. And as I mentioned, this is the PM sell side liquidity down here. It looks like it's aggressively trying to get towards that straight away. So I'd say we can easily expect a continuation down to that level, especially after running out this 830 low. Any new sell signals down here, they're likely to get trapped on that side of the market as we continue to sell off. ES has not hit that low just yet, but yeah, this is looking rather bearish. Not expecting much of a bounce down here until we hit this low. Once we do hit the sell side, I'm very interested in this order block to potentially send us back up. So look at the RTH chart real quick, and I can see kind of the narrative we've got. We just tripped in buyers above this high. We're now selling off. We have sell side for trailed stops at this false support level of the 600s. That looks really good right there. So trailed stops are down here. We've already knocked in buyers above this high. So I'd like to see if we can remain below here. And now we just push down lower into this level. Once we hit that, I want to see if we can get down to this order block. Ideally, but I'm not demanding it. If we did want to turn around just anywhere below this low, then I would be happy to look for a short in there. So it looks like we're pushing up quite aggressively right here. So I might jump back over to ETH, but I don't particularly want to go long just now actually, because we came so close to that PM sell side. At least that's just creating narrative for later, but yeah, it's looking interesting. So I kind of like us reaching up to this high from here. Obviously, we've got that high there sitting there as well, but we have relatively equal lows, highs below an impulse high. That's a high likelihood that it does want to at least reach that impulse high currently. So ES showing a lot of strength at the moment. Looks like it wants this high. Nasdaq lagging behind a wee bit. We'll be watching forwards if we can drop down to this low. I want to see how we react to it, if we show speed below it, or if we're able to reject back up from there. If we are able to get above this new day opening gap, then I'll look for any kind of order blocks around this area or ways to find risk, and then I'll be buying above that. It's just made perfect equal highs up here. So watching this low on the 15-second chart, I'll see us push back above that. There we go, looking really good. Now if we can get a closure back above these highs as well, that'd be very ideal. So just watching this area in here, I want to see part of this gap stay unfilled. Too many blue lines on the charts, but I like how we closed back above this high. So it's a very good signature. See some speed up through here. So quite a strong rejection after in that high. I want to see it continue pushing through it. I might just be a bit zoomed in at the moment actually. I should probably just be watching a different time frame. Got 50 seconds left of this 5-minute candle. It's got a new 5-minute candle about to open. I'd want to see it push through this high and take out these equal highs. Really don't want to see it drop straight back down. So might we go... There we go. We'll go break even right there. I forgot to mention I took this trade here, but on a challenge account. Just my run is left on. I've now moved to break even. Quite a sharp little rejection just there, but I've got a new 5-minute candle now, so after hitting ERL like this, it may want to come back down for another sweep of internal. So I'm taking out just there. Yeah, just to reassess, like first few minutes we created a long low, we enticed longs, we've hit this impulse high, we're rejecting it so far. It's beginning to look a bit more bearish. ES just took the high as well, so beginning to actually flip my bias to the other side. What I would want to see is this swing low act as a impulse rejection failure. See us get below it, attempt to get about above, and then fail to do so and drop straight back down. So not showing any displacement just yet. But if we do close back below this low on the 1-minute chart, that would constitute a short entry with a stop above the failure swing we just put in. So it's looking pretty good. So I've just jumped in and front run it slightly. If it closes back above it though, however, I'll cut the position instantly. Yep, cool, that's good. So that's now the trade. We are in short here. The stop goes above that failure swing. And targeting that long wick. So this goes back to the RTH trailed stops framework. We have a gap up. So I'm looking for us to engineer a low, entice longs, and then attack that low. I really like this long wick we produced. So as all this time we spent up at this premium, and quite a sharp rejection of this high as well. But that entry did not work. So that's all good. Now we did have the SMT on the highs. We had a rejection of this high, just no displacement, which is probably what wasn't ideal. And then we had the closure back below this level, so that was the valid entry signal. Just an incorrect trade, which is all good. Closure below that wick would be interesting. The 15 second is beginning to look fairly bearish. I like how he fails to reach the low end of this wick. That indicates a potential really nice order block. So if you look at this, I'll move these lines out of the way. If you look at this wick just here, that's the very next candle failed to even touch the low end of that, which is quite bearish. So we've got a very long wick, and you can see we're dropping down into that. What I want to see is us begin to accelerate as we approach the midpoint. One other thing that stands out is how at the low of the day so far, that low was created just a few ticks below the 600s. And if we bring up the RTH session as well, You can see how we had that false support at the 600s going into the close, and then Nasdaq at 9:30 made yet another low at that same level. So traders will be seeing this as strong support, breakout above these highs, and so I want to see us draw down to this level. We have this order block that we haven't tapped yet down here, so I want to see if we're able to use that as a nice way to get in. Watching the midpoint of this work, I want to see us get back below that. At the moment, we did just hit ERL, so it is reasonable for us to head back up first beforehand. But it's looking quite strong now, so yeah, I think I was just wrong. Just very wrong.